Tuesday, August 6th, 1945, it is 8:15 in the morning, and most people in the city of Hiroshima, Japan, are heading to their workplaces. The people of Hiroshima were very happy about their city because most cities in Japan had been destroyed during World War II, but Hiroshima had remained intact. It should be noted that World War II had ended in Europe, with Germany surrendering, but the Japanese refused to surrender. As a result, Japanese cities were bombed every day. And not just regular bombings, but fire bombings, which are now considered illegal. Nevertheless, Hiroshima remains intact, and its people are going about their daily routines. We mentioned that it is 8:15 in the morning, and it is a sunny summer day. After 1 minute, when the time changes to 8:16 in the morning, that's when the sun is in the sky. It was changed to two numbers. Why? Because they didn't want the bomb to hit the ground. When the bomb is 600 meters above the ground, they detonate the explosion switch. The reason behind this is that they didn't want the smallest amount of energy from the bomb to enter the ground. Most of the city's residents die, but those who were at a distance from the bomb and witnessed this scene with their own eyes describe it like this. The ground is shaking continuously, the sound of breaking glass is heard everywhere, and the air becomes very hot as the shattered glass flies around. And many of those who survived are killed by these pieces of glass. Some are injured, and their faces and bodies are torn apart, but they are still alive. Breathing is very difficult because all kinds of dust are everywhere. They try to cover their mouths with their clothes to take a breath. If someone was standing, they couldn't breathe because the dust concentration was high and they couldn't breathe. And up to 20 centimeters above the ground, it was breathable. That's why everyone lies down on the ground, a ground that is very hot and burning their hands and feet, but it's better than suffocating. Ordinary people in the city just want to find a place where they can breathe comfortably, but such a place cannot be found. People who were about 2 kilometers away from the explosion had a better situation. They could breathe, and the blast wave only shattered the glass. Now, what about those who were within 2 kilometers? Those who were standing near the windows all died because the old windows turned into glass shards, piercing anyone behind them. But those who were not near the windows and remained unharmed described experiencing a very powerful explosion. After a few seconds, they saw a tall mushroom cloud forming in the air, composed of smoke and fire. 90% of Hiroshima city was made of wood, so everything turned into ashes. Only the old brick buildings, which were structurally sound, remained standing and still exist today. Even the buildings made of bricks and cement but not properly constructed turned into rubble. The only people who survived within close proximity to the explosion were those inside the well-built brick buildings. Interestingly, these well-preserved buildings that survived the blast became a testament to that day's history. After the explosion, if anyone went near the affected neighborhood, they would not see bodies, only skeletons, as the intense heat had completely consumed the flesh and skin. Of course, those who approached the blast site had a high risk of cancer due to the radioactive contamination. It should be noted that people at that time did not know it was an atomic explosion, and that it carried such contamination that could take their lives. Still, those who could help went to the vicinity of the blast. Most of the survivors decided to make their way to the river to find some relief, where they could breathe more easily and cool down a bit. The bomb had raised the ambient temperature to over 50 degrees Celsius, making it unbearable. Water was scarce, and some wanted to reach the river to cool off and drink water. Ash and smoke rise slowly from this explosion, and after an hour it starts raining. Not the rain we know, but a rain with acidic droplets. Wherever the raindrops fall, they turn black because the acidic ash accompanies them. The drops are black, as if pouring down burnt oil. There is also radioactive contamination in this environment, although people have no knowledge of it. They don't know that every breath they take is contaminated with a deadly substance. Well, let's go to the river and see what happened. The people who made their way to the river are so hot that they don't even think and jump into the water. They cool down a bit and find relief from the intense heat outside. The black raindrops also fall in the river, making the water more contaminated, but the people don't care. They not only want to cool themselves down, but also quench their thirst and drink this contaminated, blackened water. Unfortunately, many of those who drank this water and survived the explosion acquired radioactive contamination and lost their lives within a month. All those who were close to the explosion perished, most within 2 months, with only a small percentage managing to survive. These survivors have shared their stories with us, describing themselves as people who were at a safe distance. 135,000 people were killed in this city. The United States government tells Japan to surrender and end the World War. The Japanese government responds, saying, "No, you don't know how to make a bomb. This wasn't just a bomb, it was a heavenly calamity." America says, "Don't joke around, we will strike again." Japan replies, "Go ahead and do whatever you want." 3 days later, a more powerful bomb explodes over Nagasaki, a smaller and less populated city than Hiroshima. For this reason, 64,000 people also die on the spot. After this explosion, the Japanese government realizes these were bombs, and if they don't surrender, a third bomb will come. It's interesting to note that the third bomb was already prepared because they thought the Japanese wouldn't surrender even with the second bomb, since the Japanese are willing to sacrifice their lives for their country. After the Nagasaki bombing, the Japanese surrender and World War II ends with the defeat of the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan. It's worth noting that during this conflict in East Asia, China was also among the Allies, meaning they were with the Americans.